fantastic this morning after the Pelicans won and got in the play-in tournament. Good morning. How are y'all?
Not good. Not good.
I have a suggestion to open this show. How about tomorrow morning at this moment, we stage a ceremony whereby we burn your goat mask right here. We just set it on fire. It is now defunct. It is obsolete. It is D-O-N-E, done.
But you know what? All things being said, it was a bad night. Happy birthday, bro. Today is my brother's 57th birthday,
Okay.
so I want to wish you a happy birthday.
Way to go, brother.
But
yeah.
I'm sad.
Okay.
You know I'm sad, too. You love it.
Sad is not the word for it. I'm not going to let you get away with sad.
Gloating? Why you gloating?
You should be mad.
Why are you gloating?
Yeah. Let's go with the show. How about it?
That's okay. Your day coming.
Yep.
You better not let
my day has already come.
No, it has not come. Well, I think the thing is, and that's the problem that I have. I mean, LeBron is the harshest critique. No athlete has ever been critiqued as harsh as LeBron James. And when things doesn't go right, he always bears the lion's share of the blame. He doesn't. When LeBron James plays, they said he's stat padding. If he doesn't play, well, Michael and Kobe would have never left their team in a situation like this. I'm like, so damn, how does he win? He plays, he's stat padding. Why is he playing all those minutes? He doesn't play. All of a sudden, he's abandoning his team. We've never asked when team guys didn't win championships, because this is what this is about. I don't really care about the play-in. This was going to be a season of disappointment if the Lakers didn't win the championship. That's what, and you heard AD when Jen was reading. AD said that we constructed this team to win a championship, and we thought we had the pieces. Skip, I saw early on, I never felt like Anthony Davis felt. Everybody said, well, give him 20 games, give him 40 games. I'm not one of these guys, Skip, that I need to eat the entire meal to tell you that it's trash. I get 3 or 4 bites, and I can say this is a bad meal. I can look at the chicken that Paula Patton was cooking yesterday and know it was trash. So for me, Skip, you could see early on that the pieces just didn't fit. The guys that they were counting on weren't. Skip, I can't bring a guy in. We brought Trevor Reeves in, and then we got to wait a month before he steps on the floor. We saw Kent Bazemore wasn't going to be what they expected him to be. Kendrick Nunn played no snaps. No dribbles. So I don't really know what they thought they were going to get. Clearly, THT took a step back. He wasn't what he was an untradeable player. I don't believe he's on the roster next year because I believe they're going to move him. I believe they're going to have to move him to try to bring some other pieces in.
I don't know. He's a clutch client.
That ain't got anything to do with it, Skip. See, that's another thing. Rich Paul can't have any clients. Priority, all these other guys, Bartlestein got all these guys and nobody says anything. Why is it that Rich Paul, so what? So Rich Paul has 100 clients. Are they not supposed to be on a roster because they're Rich Paul, because they're clutch clients? We look at every little thing. Oh, that's this or it's that. We're just looking for a reason to blame LeBron James. If it rains, they're going to blame LeBron. LeBron, before you came to Southern California, it never rained in Southern California. Since you've been out here, all it does is rain. LeBron gets blamed for everything. You and others look for reasons to blame him. Yes, he had the injuries. I believe the injuries played some role. But I'm not so sure, even if they hadn't been injured, that the Lakers had the pieces and the pieces fit together in order for them to win a championship. I don't believe that. I believe if LeBron had stayed healthy, Anthony Davis, I still don't believe the pieces. I don't believe they were strong enough in a 12-man rotation in the regular season. And if you whittle that down to 8 or 9 in the postseason, I don't believe they had the pieces to make it work. I don't. So for me, I'm going to say LeBron is somewhere between 5 and 8% responsible.
5 and 8?
Because as the best player, there have been some games I did agree with you that I felt LeBron James should have been able to bring those home. But for the most part, I'm not finna hold a man that's averaging 38 and 6 responsible for a season that's awful. I mean, you look at what he's averaging since the All-Star game, he's averaging 35 points. And the games that they won, he's averaged 45 points. We just shouldn't expect a guy to average 45 points for an entire season. Those days are over. There's no more Wilt Chamberlain that's capable of doing that. And the front office needs to take a lot of the blame because I think they handled the thing. I believe Ty Lue would have been a better coach than Frank Vogel, although Frank Vogel's going to lose his job. I don't think he should. We're going to talk about that. But, Skip, when you look at what they do with the Lakers as a franchise, who they are, not to be willing to go all in. Okay, Skip. You say, you know what? We need that 2027 pick. On what? You've gone in 2020, 2021, 2022. Now, you say, now, going into 2022, 2023, we're not willing to go all in. We need that on the back end. Either you all in or you're not. It's as simple as that. So I'm not finna give LeBron James no 50%, no 75%. Like, you know, and everybody keeps saying, well, LeBron told you torpedo the DeMar DeRozan. When Russell Westbrook was coming to the Lakers, did you see how giddy Magic was? He was tweeting. Championship. This is a championship contending team. Now it doesn't go well. It's easy to say that, Skip. It's kind of like a marriage. Nobody gets into a marriage thinking it's going to get divorced. But people are like, oh, they're such a cute couple. They belong together. And the moment they get divorced, I knew it. I told you. Didn't I tell you? That's what everybody said about the Lakers. Now, I said it from the beginning. You know I didn't want Russ on that team. I said, Skip, it's not going to work. But I said, you know what? If anybody can make it work, old GOAT can do it. Even the GOAT. Even his greatness couldn't make that work. 5 to 8%.
Is he LeBron bleeping James or not? That's all I want to know.
He GOAT James. Ain't no LeBron. GOAT James.
Once again, he has been proven to be the phoniest GOAT there ever was.
Whatever.
These are the Los Angeles bleeping Lakers. This was the team picked before the season in Las Vegas by the odds makers to win it all. Obviously, this team revolved around LeBron Raymond James Jr., right? Mm-hmm. This team was, by all accounts, loaded to start the year because most people believed in LeBron as the unofficial GM of this team. You could even argue Magic believed in him. Jeannie believed in him. Rob Pelinka believed in him as the unofficial GM of this team. So we have to start with the formation of this team. Yeah. And it was LeBron who, by all accounts, pushed for Russell Westbrook, to the detriment of DeMar DeRozan, to the detriment of the Buddy Hield trade, to the detriment of losing so many key pieces from last year's team, starting with Caruso and KCP on the defensive side.
Did Jordan ever push Jerry Krause to get players? And what did Jerry Krause do?
Okay, he said no.
Okay,
but this is about LeBron.
But I'm saying say no.
Okay.
Just say no.
Okay, but they allowed the keys to the kingdom to be the Kings. They said, King, you do it. What do you want, King? And King said, I got to have Russell Westbrook. And King said, give me my man Carmelo. Let's go with Carmelo. Coming off the bench is our sixth man and our three-point specialist. Mm-hmm. Let's go with Dwight as our probably starting center, although DeAndre Jordan for a while was that, but that was also a LeBron maneuver. And give me a Trevor Ariza down the bench. Give me a THT because LeBron has spoken glowingly about THT coming off the bench or maybe even being in the starting lineup to start this year. So in the end, as LeBron won a Razzie for Worst Actor for his attempt at making the second Space Jam, trying to be Michael Jordan, the point is he now deserves to win the award for Worst GM this year or Worst Personnel Director moves because these are the worst moves of the year in the NBA because the Los Angeles Lakers, as we speak, are 17 games under 500. That is incomprehensibly, inexcusably wrong and bad. And you know it, and I know it. And it's why 75% of the blame has to be dumped at the doorstep of LeBron James. And even since the All-Star break, you mentioned, look at what he's done since the break. Look at what they've done since the break. They're now 4-17. They were only 4 games under at the All-Star break with a shot to maybe even rise above the play-in tournament, right? And I think most people thought, okay, what are you guys going to do? Are you going to make any moves? And it felt like Jeannie Buss just said, you know what? I'm sick and tired of what I'm seeing. I'm tired of letting LeBron run this show. So, LeBron, you made your bed. Now go lie in it. You're going to be stuck with Frank Vogel, and you're going to be stuck with Russell Westbrook, and you're going to be stuck with the supporting cast that you chose. So show us, King. And what did he do at the All-Star break? He said, yeah, I'll show you what I can do. I can go win the scoring title. So since the break, they go 4-17. And LeBron's assist drop from a league high 2 years ago of 10.2. He led the whole league in assists to, since the All-Star break, 5.5. So at the expense of his team, he just said, I'm going to go win the scoring title. And since the break, he's averaged 33.5 points a game. He's had a couple of 50-point explosions. And it's gotten you where? It got you to 4-17, the second worst record in the whole league since the All-Star break.
I love
That's
that.
all about LeBron.
So, but here's the thing. This is what I find amazing. When I ask you how much credit did he deserve for the championship, you didn't give him 75% of the credit. We had the very question when he won the title. You never said he deserved 75% of the credit, yet you lay 75% of the blame at his feet. Why?
Who took over in the bubble?
No, Skip.
Anthony Davis took over in the bubble.
Who's responsible for Anthony Davis being there?
Who saved
Who's responsible for Anthony Davis being there?
Who saved LeBron in the game of the year in the bubble? It was game 2 against Denver in the Western Conference Finals. Who saved him?
I just asked you.
What did Rondo say? The play was called for LeBron. I locked eyes with him, and he didn't move. LeBron just froze on the last play, and Anthony Davis ran all across the formation to make a 3 to win the game.
You mentioned another name, Rondo. Who's responsible for Rondo being there? So I'm just, Skip, just answer that question for me, and I'm going to let you take it over because I don't really want to talk anymore.
I've already taken it over.
Okay, take it over. If you give LeBron 75% of the blame for some of the players that's on this roster, are you giving him 75% of the credit for AD being in LA, for Rondo being in LA, and for them winning a title? Because that's not what you did at the time we posed that question.
Who was the best Laker in the bubble? Well, who was it?
LeBron!
It was not. It was Anthony Davis.
Skip, did you realize?
That's the best I've ever seen him play.
Do you realize LeBron James still led in points and rebounds? Do you realize how great LeBron James was in the bubble? Do you see? Did you remember his stats?
Okay, but this is about this year, 17 games under 500 when you were the preseason favorite to not just win the West.
Well, to win the West, but they was behind Brooklyn.
Well, I thought a lot of people had them to win it all.
The odds makers had Brooklyn.
Okay, well, I thought it was to win it all. But, okay, I'll give you that. If it's just to win the West.
Come out of the West and be second to fate.
You just missed the play-in tournament. There didn't used to be a play-in tournament. We used to just talk about 8 seeds.
Yes.
Are you the 8 or not? Well, now you're not even the 10. And here's the ultimate disgrace is my poor San Antonio Spurs at the All-Star break are like, we're going nowhere. Let's unload. Let's revamp. Let's kind of look to the future. We are waiting officially until next year. And out of the break, they watched the Lakers lose and lose again. And wait, they lost again and they lost again. And the Spurs, just by sitting there trying to play sort of 500 basketball, kept rising and rising and rising. And last night they shocked me. They did something I didn't think they could. They went and beat Jokic at Jokic. They went and won a game that was impressive, where that's one of the games that you have to go win to be in the play-in tournament, and they won it. Yeah. And obviously LeBron didn't play. And the Lakers, as usual, gave it about a half, and they sort of hung in, and then that was the end of that. And once they collapsed, they completely collapsed.
But it made it interesting, Skip, in the fourth. You know, they get down by 30, and then when you look at the final score.
Yeah, I never, just watching it, I never gave him any shot.
Neither did I.
Okay, so I heard Magic say on ESPN the other day, a couple days back, he said, the Lakers keep losing games in the fourth quarter. The Lakers don't lose games in the fourth quarter, but he's obviously thinking of Winning Time, the new HBO series, because Magic's Dynasty Lakers, the Showtime Lakers, they were known for winning games in the fourth quarter because that's what Magic termed as winning time,
Skip,
right?
Look what Magic had. He had a healthy Kareem, a healthy James Worthy, a Jamal Wilkes, a Bob McAdoo, a Byron Scott, Norm Nixon early in those years. Skip, where are those players? AD can't stay healthy.
Okay.
Russ is not even Norm Nixon in terms of being being on a winning team and contributing in that way.
Would you believe that only the woeful Indiana Pacers have a worse record in games that are late and close, within 5 points with 5 minutes or less left? The only team with the worse record than the Lakers is the Pacers. Yeah. That's how bad LeBron's Lakers have been in the fourth quarter. He wasn't always there in the fourth quarter, but he was there so many times in the fourth quarter that it drove me nuts watching them. From my heart, I'm not exaggerating, I was rooting for the Lakers to at least be the 10 seed because As I say, he's still not only the face of the franchise, he's the face of the league. He's the most interesting man in sports. Every night that he plays, there's some subplot, there's some backstory, something happens where you say, wow, LeBron did it again, on or off the court. There's always something. He is wildly entertaining, and I thought at least they can eke into the 10 seed and play a couple of playing games on the road.
But Skip.
And yet, the point is, I kept saying, LeBron, I would tweet it every night. Okay, LeBron, here you are. You got a 5-point lead with 5 minutes left in the game of the year against the New Orleans Pelicans in your house, the crypt. All you got to do is home, James. Just take it home. You're up 5 with 5 minutes to go. And what happened? He had scored 21 in the third quarter, and he scored 2 points in the fourth quarter, and he missed 3 shots down the stretch, and he had a big turnover down the stretch. And I'm saying, what are you doing?
Can I ask you a question, Skip? When did 5 points in the last 5 minutes come such an unsurmountable lead when we see team after team come back from 25 points, 28 points, 20 points in a ball game late in the third quarter? So when did 5 become an insurmountable lead? And this notion that you perpetuate, that every great player has closed every opportunity that was presented to them in the fourth quarter is just not true.
Okay, but I'm telling you, he is LeBron James. He's obviously all-time great. You believe he's wildly clutch. I believe he's not clutch. I don't think he has the closer gene. But all I know is there's 17 games under 500 because I promise you, if we had a 5-hour show, I would go back and pull the tape on 17 games where you would say, wow, well, LeBron, that should have been yours. That was in the palm of your hand. If you're that guy, if you're still that good, if we're about to debate this in a couple of minutes here, if you're first or second team All-NBA, as most experts think he will be, then you have to close that game and that game. I can show you, let's just, for the sake of argument, do 17 games this year because there's 17 under 500.
So I just want to make sure I'm hearing you correctly. So in 17 games, LeBron should have been 17-0 with a chance to close that game.
They should have been a 500 basketball team. They just should have been 500. And if they were 500, they'd be right there with the Clippers.
I'm not talking about 500. You said there are 16 or 17 instances in which LeBron James should have closed the game.
Yep.
I'm asking you, in very similar situations, do you believe what other great player you believe would be 16 or 17-0 in those situations?
I think LeBron should have won 15 out of 17. They were gimmies. They were thank you God games. They were here. This is in your lap, LeBron.
Okay, I just want you to.
This is where you have the advantage. You should be in control. Your team is hot. You got Malik Monk with a hot hand, or maybe Melo with a hot hand.
Yes,
just take it home. Just make the plays down the stretch. And again, the bizarre point about Russell Westbrook, he's obviously been Russell Westbrook most of the year. He's been a nightmare of a disaster.
Right.
But for the most part, in fourth quarters, he just stays out of the way. To his credit, he did defer to LeBron because all of his numbers across the board.
Because he was playing very limited minutes in the fourth quarter.
Obviously
He wasn't deferred.
But I think he was actually shamed into finally, most of those fourth quarters I'm talking about, he would just go along for the ride, and he wouldn't lose it for you, but he wouldn't try to win it for you. He just pretty much went off into the corner and stayed there. So you can't blame the fourth quarter collapses on Russell Westbrook.
No, I'm Skip. But here's the thing: a lot of times you're in a situation where it shouldn't even come down to the fourth quarter. So I just want to ask you a question because you keep blaming Braun for this roster. Austin Reeves, that was a LeBron pick. What about DJ Augustine?
I don't know about
Stanley
that.
Johnson.
Well, did he sign off on them?
William Gabriel.
Okay.
Wayne Ellington.
All right. I believe Wayne Ellington was a co-signed by LeBron.
No, he was.
I think LeBron thought, well, he's been one of the better three-point shooters in the league.
Okay.
All right. Has Austin Reeves helped this team this year for the most part?
Yeah, he's played well, but Skip, he's an undrafted free agent. So you're gonna get flashes or glimpses, and then he's gonna say, okay, now you see why he's
okay, but I told you from the start. You said he's 3-and-D. I said be careful about that 3 part because he's not a very good three-point shooter because I watched him at Oklahoma, and he wasn't a good three-point shooter from that line that's much closer to the NBA line. But he knows how to play basketball, and he'll play his tail off on both ends of the floor. And for the most part, in total, he's actually been at times when there was no AD, their second best player overall, which is why Vogel would play him down the stretch of a lot of fourth quarters, because they hoped he would become the Caruso to vibe off LeBron and kind of be not the co-star, but to go along and ride shotgun for LeBron and do what LeBron needs in the way of making basketball plays to get the game home. And by the way, he did make one of the walk-off shots that this team had. He made it early at Dallas. Remember that?
Right.
And
Yes.
LeBron dubbed him AR-15.
But here's the thing, Skip. Look, okay, I will agree with you on this one. Whomever is responsible, the offseason moves haven't worked. Okay, if I make a mistake, at bare minimum, I should be trying to do something to correct the mistake. You had an opportunity at the trade deadline. Now, I don't know. Obviously, they didn't want John Wall. They didn't want to, but there was nothing else out there that you could have done to try to correct the mistake. You said, Jeannie Buss says, okay, LeBron, you made this mess. I want you to stay in it. Skip, that's like my grandma's like, oh, boy, y'all clean this house up. If y'all don't clean this house up, I ain't going to clean it up. Well, I ain't going to clean it up. We're just going to be in a messy house. So, Jeannie, you said, okay, LeBron, you made this mess. Okay, I ain't going to do anything to try to fix it. Well, we got a messy organization.
It would have cost her 2027 first rounder to get out from under Russ, shipping him to Houston.
I get that, but like I said, I don't know if there was anything else out there, but you got to factor that in, Skip. Okay, you bring in on Russ and a $47 million player option. Now you're stuck. The only thing that's going to save you is somebody take him and you end up probably paying half that salary, or you buy him out. And knowing Russ is not taking 80% or 90%. He wants all his money, and rightfully so. He's earned that. But I just don't believe, and Magic said, bring Russ back. Huh?
Well, he's just saying it because how do you get out from under it?
Well,
you owe him $47 million.
You do.
And if you pay him $47 and you pay AD what he's going to make and LeBron what he's going to make, you're way over the cap now.
Well, Skip, that was the thing. It's because you had Bron on the max, AD's on the max, even though Bron's on a short-term max, Russ is on the max. Now everybody else is on a bargain contract. Okay, if I'm going to do bargain contracts, Skip, don't you want young legs? Don't you want guys, because it's an 82-game season, and everybody's like, oh, they got these guys for the playoffs. What happens if you don't make the playoffs? What happens if you're not in position to make the play-in?
Well, now it's a 2-year mistake that you made with Russ.
Yes.
Okay, bottom line. Right now, the Lakers rank 23rd in defensive efficiency.
How are they that high?
Okay, and 23rd in offensive efficiency. Well, that's a recipe for disaster, right?
That's a recipe for 17 under 500.
That is correct. And LeBron has hovered around 200th in individual defensive win shares when just a year ago they were number 1 in defense, in large part because LeBron hovered around the top 10 in individual defensive win shares. He was really good.
Right.
He sat in that chair, as you said, all year long. He was a driving force on defense as well as offense.
But here's the thing, Skip. What he could do then is that he had a KCP, he had a Caruso, and he had an AD until AD got hurt that could help cover up some of the mistakes. If he gambled, he had a guy that could cover and scramble and bail him out. Now, hell, he's the fastest guy on the team, although he's the oldest. So not only can he not bail them out, they can't bail him out.
Okay. Final stat. They now rank 27th in the league in allowing points in the paint. What have I had to hear all year long? LeBron is so good, he plays all 5 positions. He's point guard on offense, and on defense, he's playing the 5.
Right.
How many nights have I seen him play the 5?
But Skip,
that's what it got you, 27th in paint points allowed.
But here's the thing, though, Skip, is because they can't stay in front of everybody, even the guards, everybody was in the paint. It wasn't just their bigs. Everybody was making a living in the paint. Because what did all the coaches say? Well, we just going to take advantage of this guy, or we going to take advantage of that guy. We can get any shot that we wanted. We just have to be patient. So it wasn't just Bron's inability to guard a 5 or a 4. They couldn't stay in front of anybody, so everybody was laying the ball up. Everybody was in the layup line at pregame. That's what you got.
Excellent start to the morning, guys, but we've got to move on. We have so much to talk about. By the way, LeBron has a new episode of The Shop dropping on Friday. So
check it out, Skip.
A little bit more on his own take.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.